Hi friends, thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you. We have a drugstore kind of get ready with me video infusing some newish things that I've been trying lately. I've definitely got some thoughts on some of these things. So I hope you guys are having a good day. I had one of those mornings this morning where I woke up and I'm like, what day is it? Where am I? Like I was in such a deep sleep. And I'm getting up here and I'm doing my skincare, and all I can really think is the people who are taking time to watch these videos, like it's getting even more amazing to me because every time I post a TikTok, a short little video over on the TikTok app, I will get a comment from at least one person saying, I never watch YouTube anymore, but it's cool to see you over here, or something like that. And, every one of those just I have kind of a sad face over it because it's just sad. And I do pretty much attempt to recruit each and every one of those people back to YouTube if I can. But it makes me so grateful for those of you who do still enjoy long form content and just are here watching what I put out. I thank you so very much. I really do. Anyway, for this video, some of the first few steps in my face routine are not going to be brand new products. Really the heart of what's new are face steps that are kind of like the powders, bronzers, blushes, etc. So I'm going to use my e.l.f. Halo Glow today, the liquid filter. I wear this in the shade 2, and I'm just going to swipe this on. I've already got all my skincare on and everything. Taking a slight break from my Maybelline Perfector. I've really been enjoying that lately. What was that sound? Probably just one of the kittens jumping up somewhere where they don't need to be. Last night, they kept getting up on, we have this balcony kind of catwalk area that's up high, really high actually, and they'll walk on there and they'll also get up even higher than just the area where they can comfortably sit, and they'll sit up on the railing, the uppermost part of that situation, and it just freaks me out. I know they know what they're doing and they've done it enough, but at first they'd get up there when I had my winter garland, and that kind of gave them more to walk on. They'd walk right on top of it, but it felt like more was there, and now that that's gone, it just seems like they're standing on nothing. Oh, speak of the devil. Hi, sweet pea. Okay, so just buff that in gently, and we've got this nice sort of glowy base going on. Next up, I'm using my CoverGirl Outlast foundation. This is in the shade Natural Beige. It's the Extreme Wear Light Airbrush Finish. I've featured this on my channel before. I really love this foundation. It wears amazingly well, and it looks awesome on the skin. So we're gonna use about a full pump of this. Bub has a trial today, and when he's in this mode, he's waking up in the middle of the night and doing work and taking notes, and you can just tell there's a different kind of energy around. So I'm hoping that goes well today. And then we're gonna get snow tonight, and then it's his birthday tomorrow. You see this? It's beautiful. We call this Red Cap Foundation. See, it's such pretty coverage, and my skin is well moisturized underneath and everything, but it never looks too flat, and I really enjoy that stuff. So Natural Beige in that one. And then I have the concealer from that same line in Ivory. I'm going to go ahead and use that today as well. It's the Extreme Wear Concealer. I know we just got to crank out a few steps before we get to the newness. So I get a small drop of that between 2 fingers, and I'm just going to dab right around here, a little bit around the nose. You guys, who is watching Days of Our Lives right now? Marlena, what in the world? Now I'm recording this on Tuesday morning. Maybe I shouldn't say too much, but there have just been a lot of tears. Just in case some people are still catching up. Look at that. Look at that brightness. It's a really good shade. Sometimes I feel like, oh, is this gonna be way too light? But no. So good. And there's a Red Cap powder foundation as well. I've had some questions because it's, I guess, gone viral, especially on TikTok, about the new Maybelline Superstay powder foundation, which I featured in a video quite a while back. A lot of people are using it with a damp sponge and putting it over half their face and observing how full coverage it can be. And I've had a few questions asking me to dive deeper into that, and I'm almost thinking it might be worthwhile to use it in the way people are using it, but then also follow up and wear test that, because some people are thinking it's looking fantastic upon application, but that's only half the battle, y'all. You gotta go through a whole day, and what's that stuff gonna end up looking like? That's kind of my question. I do think it's a good powder, and I've used it in a much lighter sense and enjoyed it, but to use it in a practically like, let's dampen a sponge, let's put it in there and let's like paint the face to where we don't recognize this side versus the natural side, like that's kind of what people are doing. If you'd like to see that, let me know, but I will take it through a wear test because I think that's the question. You can only be so wowed by something that you're only seeing applied. In the practical sense, we're wearing makeup all day long. We have an expectation for how it's gonna look all day. Okay, now we're getting to some new stuff. I noticed that CoverGirl has their clean invisible powder and they changed the packaging, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try that now. And it was funny because I just heard Bethany Frankel talking about this powder and how CoverGirl needs to repackage. They need an update on this stuff because she thinks it's a good product. And I never really liked this in the old version because I've always felt like there's a sparkle in this powder that they sell. But this is the Clean Invisible Loose Powder, and I just have the shade Translucent Fair. On the packaging, it says now talc and fragrance free. It says lightweight, breathable, doesn't crease, doesn't cake, no flashback, soft, luxurious applicator. It does have a puff. This is the puff that came with it. It's less like furry and wild and stuff, but it's still, here's an issue. They still can't make this twist off. So every time you open it, if you've got a lot of powder shaken out especially, you run the risk of having a huge like puff because guys, it doesn't twist off, it just pulls off. It just pulls off. They did not update that, which baffles me. Also, be careful because there's tape over the holes, and when you first pull the tape, after that last pull and you're finally getting the tape off, it kind of goes pop and it'll get all over you. So just a little couple warnings there. Another thing about this is if you shake it out into the cap, and then let's say you don't use every single little bit that you put in the cap and you go to put this back down, it gets kind of messy because there's no like inner rim within here. It goes right out to the edge and then this cap just sits on it. So packaging is still leaving something to be desired, but I do think they've made an improvement in the formula of this powder because now when I like swatch, I'm gonna get a good amount on here, swatch it out on my skin, kind of shear it out, really look up close at it, I am not seeing those shimmer particles like I used to see out of this powder, and it actually does a decent job setting. Now, there are enough other great powders that don't really offer up as many weird packaging situations, so I don't feel like, oh, you gotta make this one work. There's Fit Me, there's Wet n Wild Photo Focus. While this is definitely a new and improved formula, the packaging is still stuck in another era, I feel like. Even just doing a twist off lid would have helped a lot because every time I open it, I think, oh, is it gonna fly out at me? But I'm using this with my triangle puffs simply because I love the shape and size of this, and it can get right up to the eyewear area where I want this to be. But yeah, I didn't know if anybody noticed on Ulta's website that this is coming up under the new category, and they have made some changes. And I mean, the packaging looks a little different. Like it used to be sort of a soft domed lid. Now this is flat. They're trying a little bit, but it's just, they didn't go quite far enough in my opinion. Just for an example here, one thing that helps the Maybelline Fit Me work well is that this is your place where you might be tapping out some powder just to get the minimal amount. And then see how there's an additional rim outside that. And when you go to put this down, like you don't have excess powder spilling out the outside because everything you used is kept within that circle. Okay, and then it's going back down. So it's just a little messier than it has to be, and I feel like CoverGirl can probably do better. So I've applied this over the T-zone. I've probably applied more than I've even needed, but I do go ahead and I dust some of this away. I've weeded out and reorganized my brushes, so it takes me a second now to find what I need. But I just kind of now let it go, let it work into the skin or dust away. See, it looks nice, looks nice. It's a nicer seeming formula than they used to have in that powder. Now we're gonna move on to bronzer, and we have a couple of new liquid products from Physicians Formula, the Butter Glow Liquid Bronzer and Liquid Highlight. And this is a product, I mean, I think the packaging is kind of interesting. They just put it in a big old squeeze tube. You could be mixing this in with primers, foundations, tinted moisturizers. One day I tried just putting it all over my skin like a bronzy primer. It was maybe a little more than I bargained for in that sense, but I'm going to just squeeze a little bit out here on my hand. This is the color tone. So it's kind of the tone of that lighter butter bronzer. And yes, it does have some of that butter bronzer scent. And I'm going to just dab this around on the skin and work it in like contour, basically. And then I'm going to use this brush, my Sephora 56, and just go over that. It's reminding me of the blending experience that I have with my Milani little contour wand thingamajig. The Conceal and Perfect Liquid Contour in the shade Ginger. Only this shade, which I believe is the only shade this comes in, is a little bit lighter, but it's giving like a soft natural contour. You can see that. And as you can see, this liquid was able to sit on the skin for the amount of time it took me to go all around here and back again, and it's not setting too fast. So I feel like it's a decent product, but do I like it better than that Milani Conceal and Perfect? What I'm talking about, I'll show you. It's this thing. This Conceal and Perfect Liquid Contour. Actually, I don't love the applicator on this, as I've said. Today's the day M goes off on packaging. But it seems like you're getting way more in here. 1.3 fluid ounces, and this is only 0.2 fluid ounces. So this lends itself to being multitasked with in a few other ways, just simply by the packaging design. You know, this has that little dabber. You know, it worked well, but tan, deeper skin tones, would this even show? I don't think so. And I believe, like I said, there's only one shade in it. By the way, all this new Physicians Formula stuff that I'm going to be talking about here, $15.49 for this, okay? So you buy a couple of these items, we're paying more than 30 bucks. And then they've got some new Butter Glow pressed powders, and those are $15.49 each. They ain't giving it away. But there's that look, and I think it looks pretty enough. Blush-wise, I want to talk about this. I got something from Revolution, and I feel like I haven't been gravitating toward this brand very much just recently. Even over like the past year, let's say. I feel like a lot of stuff comes out, it comes out quick, and I've known this, it's a fast brand. It was a wonder that my collab with them actually existed for a period of years, you know. I feel like they've really gotten into getting stuff, dropping stuff, new stuff, blah, blah, blah. And one thing that really caught my eye, though, that they put out is this, and I have to have the box to be able to tell you what it is. It's called Balm Glow, multi-use glow for the face, luminous finish, natural looking flush of color. I got it in the rose pink shade, and this to me seems like their take on the Jones Road all over balms, you know, just in a little tin here. There's a lot of product. Jones Road calls it Miracle Balm. You're getting 1.75 ounces in this and 1.12 ounces in this, and I'll check the price as well. This was $12, which I thought was, you know, maybe a little more than I wanted to pay, but it's the kind of thing where when you get it, you kind of push down into it and you sort of break the seal, just like with the Jones Road stuff. And then you have this creamy product. Does this have, oh, what's that smell? This has a little bit of a sweet scent, but I thought, you know, I'm gonna apply a little bit of this as my blush. It's a kind of multitasking thing that could be blush and lip, you know, whatever you want it to be. And I think they had a bronzy shade in the line. There was a real deep color that I might still try. This soft pink, which is called Rose Pink, is not giving me as much color as I'd like to see. I feel like it's making my cheeks look glossy, but ultimately there's not enough pigment in it. What about when I put it on the lips? I've been putting this on the lips now and then. It feels really nice, really moisturizing, but I hadn't quite yet done the full-on blush thing at this point in time, and it's just not quite colorful enough. I might have to either get a deeper shade, or maybe I'm just kind of wondering if there's enough pigment going on here. And I do think Jones Road makes a shade that's probably a lot like that, but neither of mine are. I've got a couple deeper colors. I've got the tawny shade, which is kind of rich, and I also do have the bronze, and both of those definitely, just by nature of their depth, I'm used to those giving off quite a bit of color. This one just doesn't give very much. I wouldn't write it off. I'm just thinking it could probably vary a lot by shade in this line as to what's going to happen on your skin, I imagine. So now we're going to reach for another thing. We've got a couple of these Butter Glow pressed powders. Interesting shade choices here. We have the one that's called Translucent Glow. This has just this swirled look to it. It's like a buttery, almost yellow tone shade mixed with a rosy neutral kind of color. And it's not like highlighter. It really reminds me of like an hourglass powder. It is a pressed powder with kind of that baked dome design with a soft glow. This particular shade would appear to be fashioned after something they call the Ambient Infinity powder. Really the exact same tones happening in there. So I think they're kind of trying to do an hourglass thing. This is the kind of thing I would probably use as like a finishing powder, or even an ultralight highlight if I wanted to. Hang on for that. And then we have this other shade in this product called Natural Natural Glow. So this is the one called Translucent Glow. And then Natural Glow, it really looks like kind of a blush type of color. I'm seeing a mix of bronzy shades, rosy colors, and maybe a light tan in there as well. And when you swatch this, you get this real murky, like soft dusty rose shimmer. There's more of a pigment in this shade. And I'm gonna use this as blush. This is what I've done in the past and I thought it was really pretty. So I'm gonna pull out my e.l.f. blush brush. We know what I just applied here didn't give me near the blush satisfaction I'm gonna need for today. But we'll apply this over top. And I think you're gonna notice some real rosiness coming out. Now it is kind of clinging to something that's a little bit dewy, so that might be helping the color stand out even more. But look, did you expect that really? I would say if you get this, expect it to be like blush. I wouldn't really be taking this product and applying it all over the face, even though they just call it Butter Glow Pressed Powder. Honestly, when brands confuse me a little bit about a product as I'm scrolling a website or seeing it out in person, if I feel confused, there's a much greater chance that I'm gonna go ahead and try it, because I feel like if I'm confused, maybe someone else is confused and maybe I can be the one that sorts it out. There's that all over as kind of a light, soft, glowy blush. Then this all over just gives that subtle, gentle sheen. You know, we're not looking at this as a coverage product. We're just seeing it kind of set the skin with just the softest glow. We know how delicate those ambient lighting powders can be, and this really mimics, I think, the firmness of an ambient lighting powder, and you're not gonna pick up a lot of product. You pick up way more product off of this. It's interesting how they've released two products and their textures are so different. This is softer, this applies more like blush, this applies more like just a light powder, giving you a soft, gentle sheen all over, okay? Really interesting. Then one more powder here, and it's the Wet n Wild 5-in-1 Essence Primer Plus Finish Powder, up to 16-hour wear, it says. And on its little list of claims down here, it says smooths, conditions, refines pores, balances, pre and post makeup. The texture of this powder is extremely soft. For one of these white powders, sometimes they're a bit more firm. And I think part of that we don't really mind because we think, well, I don't want a huge full coverage white cast on my skin, right? But this is very, very soft and purely white. It made me think of another product that they have out from the Bare Focus line already. And it's called the Bare Focus Clarifying Finishing Powder. And it's got the vegan collagen and the tea tree and the vitamin E. They look a lot alike, only this one isn't quite as white as this Bare Focus. And I also noticed the first ingredient in this one is talc, and this one doesn't appear to contain talc. The first ingredient is mica. Personally, I feel like this is a decent powder, but it's a powder you can easily go too far with because of its softness. Like I go in with a little brush here and maybe I hit this area where I might use my Kosas Cloud Set powder. That little area where blush meets under eye, you know? And I got a little shimmer from that one blush like way up in there, and so I'm kind of trying to neutralize a little bit. You know, it can perfect a bit more. It can set my T-zone midday and look all right, but can you go too far with it? Absolutely, because it's very, very soft, and it's just, you know, look, one swipe, I'm picking up a ton of powder. It feels like powder foundation, honestly, but in a little translucent setting powder kind of mode. Another thing, you guys, I wanted to update you on. I've been on the lookout for a good stipple brush because that EcoTools one that I've been using with like vibrant cream blushes is not so easy to find. I found this one from e.l.f. called Domed Stipple. Nice stipple brush and a little bit tapered down the sides, and I haven't used it yet, but I feel like it's going to be perfect. It's going to be a little smaller than that EcoTools one, which this, you know, maybe lends itself a bit more to all over foundation, and this, I just feel like it's gonna be really nice and targeted to the blush area. Remember e.l.f.'s small stipple brush? I don't think they make it anymore. That was a great option for stippling on blush once upon a time, but hard to come by. So here's what the face is looking like now with this hodgepodge of things on it. Oh, I didn't do the liquid highlighter yet. I guess we could dab on a little bit of this. The Butter Glow Liquid Highlight. Okay, what does this look like? I've just squeezed out some. It's having that same scent, looking kind of soft in tone, looking like, what's the word I'm looking for? Looking kind of like Lumi Glotion, but maybe with a little more concentrated shimmer. I'm just going to dab this right up on here, and then maybe I'll tap over it with that stipple brush to make sure it gets blended in there. It's pretty. No chunky flecks or anything. It's not super bright, it's kind of like a champagne color. What do we think about these new liquid Physicians Formula products? To me, given the fact that I don't think I'm going to be using this in the capacity of like priming my whole face with it, I feel like it's a bit flat for that, this liquid bronzer. So I probably only use it for contour, and I think I prefer the Milani, but I'll still use this from time to time. I got a good amount of product, but I would like a little deeper intensity with it. So I'm not like jumping up and down. I think they should have put out a range with this, not just the one shade. This is really pretty though. Really like the way that looks. It didn't add a bunch of tackiness to my skin. These powders, I think a lot of people would get good out of this one as kind of an hourglass dupe type of product, because sometimes we want that setting powder all over the face. We want it to do what powder does, but without looking so dry and perhaps offering a bit of a glow. So I think that's good in that sense. Kind of like that NYX, was it No Filter or whatever? They had like a baked dome powder that was absolute perfection, but you can't hardly find it. Story of my life. This one's all right. It makes it pretty blush. I think they should have just called it blush though. To speed this along, I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows and then come back. Brows are done. I just used my e.l.f. Skinny Brow Pencil and NYX Control Freak. And seeing as I don't have a new eyeshadow thing drugstore wise right now, I thought maybe I'll just try to work with these and create an eye look out of these. You know, just something simple. I feel like people are just reaching for the simpler, like quick go-to option on eyes. And I feel like this shade could really work some magic in this way as a multitasker. So I'm just gonna go into it. I'm gonna make sure I'm hitting some of those deeper areas with my Persona double-ended brush. I have been using this constantly. The one that's labeled Blend and Apply. You can easily do an entire eye look with this brush. It's just so easy, outside of like liner steps. Okay, this is pretty in that way. Look at that. Just hitting the crease and going beyond. I just like this size of the brush. It takes me to crease, but it brings me beyond that too with ease. So pretty. And I do have a full video talking about all the Persona double-ended brushes, by the way, if you haven't seen that. It gives a little more detailed explanation. But wow, I like the shadow in that way. Sure do. I'm gonna clean it off, and now I'm just gonna use it more in a blending out the edges type of mode. Did you notice I have a little background decor here? Hi, Bisky. I love you. She hasn't moved for like 10 minutes. She's such a sweetheart. Both of the kitties have been so cuddly lately. I'm going to take this other side, the flatter side, into the same kinds of tones and just go over most of my lid. I mean, hello, barely there eye. But a really pretty shade. This product may have just upped its worth for me. Okay, very nice. And then, well, let's just try to stick with this. I'm gonna go into something that appears lighter. There's just a lighter area in mine. I don't know that everybody's ends up swirled the same. They probably don't, but oh, the little lighter bit can just go on the inner part of the lid. Okay. I love you, Angel. Little sweetheart. That could not have been easier. Could not have been easier. I'm going to do a light liner in the lower inner rim. I'm using my ABH double-ended pencil. It's called Matte Camille and Sand Shimmer. If you haven't seen me use this before, this is designed to be like an under the brow highlighter thing, like a multi-purpose kind of eye tool, but it really stays well in the waterline. That's why I use that there. Should we move straight into mascara? Is it a straight mascara day? I feel like it. Uh-oh. Are you leaving? She's got things to do. She's hearing things. I think I'm gonna try to get the last out of my lash paradise today. Yesterday, I end up being in a situation where I'm taking Bubba to dance with me, with the girls as well. Normally he hangs out with Nana during that time. He like goes over to their house and plays there. It's a fun time for him, but we weren't able to pull that off yesterday. So I take him with me and he's just like running all over the place. And do you ever have a situation, I think I saw a meme or something like, I hope my kids appreciate the amount of extroverting I've had to do on their behalf or something like that I wouldn't have done otherwise maybe, because Bubba doesn't know a stranger. And so there's people there, like there's some people just sitting there like looking at their phones and like, trying to mind their own business, and he comes right up to them or like taps them on the knee and then like climbs up on the chair next to them, tries to see out the window. He's the most everywhere kind of kid, okay? I don't love to be in a long like waiting room situation. Not that it's very long. I mean, in total, we're there for like an hour and 15 minutes. It's not a long time. It seems like a long time when I'm trying to entertain him. And there's a little play area, which is nice. So I'll let him be in there and he'll play with somebody else maybe. And then I'll hear like a loud screech or squawk or squeal or something. And I feel like I have to come back and look so the other parents aren't like, your kid's squealing in here. It just creates so many kind of like awkward, funny moments, you know, when you've got a kid at that age, just confined to a small waiting room type of space. Look at this. Beautiful lash going on there. But I can tell it's super dry, like it's on its last legs. You can really see the lashes a lot if you do skip liner. It lets your lashes really shine. Yeah, this video was definitely face focused as far as the new things I had to talk about, but I do have a couple lip things to mention too. Bubba running around also caused me to have to constantly like walk in between these ladies that were having a conversation, and I have to keep thinking like, everybody laughs about how, let's say somebody's just been mopping the floor and you have to walk past, and so you do this funny kind of like hopping through it walk. It's just like weird, and I'm like just awkwardly, oh, excuse me, in between these ladies that are trying to talk. It was just more out there than I wanted to be. Normally we just sit off to the side of the room and like Biddy's there with me. I either have one of the girls waiting with me while the other one's in their class, and it's amazing how their classes fall back to back like that. And we sit over kind of toward a corner where there's a table and we can kind of sit our stuff, and Biddy can color if she wants to or whatever she brought with her. But having Bubba there, it's like you're going to be all over that place. You're going to be up close and personal with every person there just because he shoves his way in. You're apologizing, he's bumping, he's doing things. I mean, people get it. Everyone there is a parent. I know I have a big, like, clump right in here. Probably should stop trying to apply mascara at this point, but there are a few lashes that need it. Do you guys know Avril Lavigne has a song on the radio right now? How about that? A few things to say here about lip colors. Number one, Wet n Wild has something called Mega Last Lock and Shine, and I got one of these in the shade Pinky Promise. My issue here, this never really gets a full dry down going. If you use CoverGirl Outlast, or Rimmel has a product like this as well, Maybelline also, Superstay has a double-ended product. That first coat, you're expecting that to get to a completely dry place where you feel like, okay, it's locked in, it's dried down, kind of like a traditional liquid lipstick, and then you're invited to put that top part on. This one stays really tacky, and I waited for a long time for it to get dry, and it never really got there. And as I was like testing, see, is it dry yet? You know, you go like this, and you can feel the product like pulling, like it just, I don't know. Not my choice product of that format. I would definitely go for the Maybelline Superstays or the CoverGirl Outlast if you're looking for a hardcore staying power product that's able to pair with a gloss or some kind of shiny, balmy top coat. Here's another new thing Wet n Wild has put out. This comforting lip color. It says Rose Comforting Lip Color in the shade Pecan Glaze. How do you say pecan? 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 Very interesting here because I've been talking about like these Tarte products that click up and they click you up a little bit, and you pretty much use that amount of product that just clicked up and spread that out on your lips. And I was like, when is the drugstore going to come out with something similar? This appears to be it. Look, we're not just twisting up a traditional lipstick. We're clicking a little and we're seeing it come up above just a little bit, and then look at the shine. It's a soft kind of brownish shade. Looks kind of nice with my burgundy shirt that I got going on today. Go dogs. It's pretty, but it's that very concept where it's a shiny, super shiny, almost glossy looking lip color, kind of a sheer shade, but Wet n Wild's doing it. They're doing it. I would be open to trying some more shades in that. Why does it say rose? It doesn't really smell like rose, but I thought you guys would be very interested to know about that. Feels really good, really nourishing. Definitely comparable texture to the Tarte stuff. Okay, one more thing. Revlon Colorstay Suede Ink. Are we copying Superstay Matte Ink crayons with sort of a traditional lipstick type of vibe? This does set. This sets pretty quickly for like immediate matte long wear, and I got the shade That Girl. So let's put this on. I'm a little bit not loving the size of this applicator. Look how there's no point, there's no precision, and it's not like skinny. So I do have to watch myself on this, make sure I don't get outside the lines. but it has this velvety feel as it goes on. And I like having this mid-tone. This reminds me a lot of Lead the Way from Maybelline. But mid-tones in this kind of a long wear matte situation tend to wear the most naturally, because if they do wear down, there's less contrast with your own lip color and you just don't see the wear as much. But y'all, it's already setting up. That was quick. Touching it, not getting transferring off. Okay, yesterday I was wearing this to dance, and afterward I kind of like pulled the color a little bit, and maybe I could pull just a little hint off, but it's wearing to the tune of the Superstay Matte Ink crayons, only I think feeling a little drier and offering a little less precision with application. So if I had my choice, granted I know I've only tried one shade of this, but if I had my option, I would still be going for the Superstay Matte Ink crayons. But this is available, and if you see a shade you really like, you know, I love Revlon, go for it. But there's that color called That Girl, and as we know, if you take something that's intended to be really long wear like this and you start putting glosses over top, that will kind of re-liquefy, re-creamify the product and take away some of those long wearing capabilities. So just know that. I think I'm just going to leave this be for now, so it'll probably stay on my lips for probably a good chunk of the day. I expect it to break down somewhat after I eat lunch. Give a slight recurl here because I just messed with those lashes so much over there. But look, I think that's a pretty makeup look, guys. I'm going to try to use this in the way that I use my Kosas Cloud Set. I just got quite a bit of shimmer up kind of high, and so I'm going to see. It's all right. It's an all right powder. I will keep messing with it. I just feel like I can go too far pretty easily, and the Kosas is just so sneaky. I'm talking about this Wet n Wild Essence Primer finish powder. So yeah, that's my look, you guys. I actually turned out to really love the fact that this could be cheek and I think the eye is simple and beautiful. Absolutely. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed by that. And this, you know, it is a lower cost alternative to an ambient lighting powder from Hourglass. These liquids, as I said, this might not be my choice liquid bronzer, but this highlight is quite beautiful, and I could see that as a nice kind of mixer product too. Not sold on this right now from Revolution because I just wish there'd be more pigment that actually showed on my cheeks when I dabbed that in. I'm not expecting it to be world's most pigmented, creamy, multitasking balm product, but a little more color would have been nice. It really was hardly visible. Very intrigued by these little Wet n Wild Rose Comfort lip colors. If you're looking for a drugstore alternative to the type of thing Tarte or M Cosmetics, all those different high-end brands that are doing sort of a click-up style product that transfers on like gloss, there's your option. You heard what I had to say about the other lip products just now, but yeah, that's my take, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm so thankful that you do take time out of your days to watch my YouTube videos. If you've made it here to the end, love, love. I no longer have cat decor in the background, but thank you for your time, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.